Good morning.
Hey guys, how you doing? So recently Jeff picked up a 1960 Marlin 336 and 30-30, and we're going to mount his scope today. Pretty easy job. We got the rail, a little bit of the thread locker, the blue stuff, some small screwdrivers, and a set of medium rings. The scope's a Bausch Lomb 2-7x32 that I found off the equipment exchange on CGN, and quite a deal at $150. So next year Jeff will be hunting the brush in Ontario with his new rifle all set up. And while there's a lot of guys that like the Winchesters, I prefer the Marlins. They got a flat top. They're already tapped for a scope, so it's pretty easy to put a scope on. Everybody knows that a lot of deer shot in the first little bit and the last little bit of light. So yeah, I prefer a scope. As you guys can see, first step is to take these screws from the factory out so that we can put on the base. It's been pre-tapped at the factory. I think Jeff was quite fortunate to come across a 1960 lever in this kind of condition. It really is in good shape. I anticipate that it's going to shoot quite well. So this is a Weaver 63B base. Should drop right in here. The 4 screws that are provided. There it is there. We're going to use just a tiny bit of the blue Loctite on the base. Doesn't have to be very much, guys, just a little touch. Another thing I like to do, always have a pile of paper towel around, a little bit of CLP, and this is the last time that this is going to get any oil on it, because we're going to put the rail on. Literally, I just want to get a bit of oil on there because now the rail is going on. And it's kind of impossible to clean underneath. And there's another screwdriver. Challenge to put these screws in place with your fingers. There we go. 2, 3. There we go. And you don't have to go crazy with this, guys. You know, you just want to seat them down in here so that they're snug. You definitely don't want to strip the top of the receiver with the screw holes. Actually, a little bit bigger of a screwdriver. The slots for the heads on those screws are a tad bigger than the factory ones that came out, so I always want to make sure that I'm using the right size so you don't end up stripping stuff. And again, not too tight, just snug. You know, it's not going anywhere. Once you've cinched it down, there's just a tiny dab of blue Loctite. I'm going to check for function, no interference. So it looks good. These rings I cleaned previously. They're Weaver Grand Slam steel rings. So normally I would give them a wipe down, but I've already done that. They're a set of rings that I had aside that I'm giving to Jeff for this rifle. Again, just with a little dab of blue Loctite on each of the bases, the bottom half of the ring. They give you a little wrench to work with. I find it easier to go with the screwdriver set that I have. And I'm just initially putting these on loosely. Getting things set up first. Before we start cinching anything down too much. Jeff, do you want to pass me the scope that we have over there? We need to check that it clears everything. So like I was saying, it's a Bausch Lomb 2:7 by 32. Just hoping that it clears. And looking for something kind of skinny, because we're awful close. Look at that. So it just clears the rear sight. Very best. Now we need to see where to sit this scope for Jeff's eye. So I'm going to take it out of the rifle vise here, and we're going to play with it a little bit to make sure that it's set for the right eye relief for him. I'll start here. Okay, I think it has to come back a little bit, and it's weighted a little to the rear. So I'm actually going to put this top ring on because I don't want the scope falling as we're doing this. So I'm just quickly going to put 2 screws here, and I'll take them out after, just preventing the scope from falling as we mess around with it. You see how much easier it is with a screwdriver with a Torx head on it. Too tight. Let this still move. There we go. So now I can just pick it up, have a look for eye relief for myself. So I can move it forward or backwards, however you need. You should see a clear. Yeah, if you move your head back and forth, you'll see it get
right
dark
now,
circle around.
Dark circle, I can
So
see.
then when you back off, it should go clear.
Yeah, it's clear.
So if you remount it again. Oh, no. Now we got it moved. Now I don't know where it is, so tell me.
Okay. Looks a bit awry.
It doesn't matter if it's level.
Okay.
We'll do that after. What I need to know is, can you clearly see the objective?
Yes, I can.
So that position's okay. Don't move the rifle. Let me have it. I want to have a look myself. So you're okay with that eye
I
relief?
think so.
Okay. So I'm just taking a note here, guys, how far it is from the scope ring, just so I have a visual and I can put it back. Now what we're going to do is we're going to level the rifle and lock it down into the rifle vise here. Then we're going to level the scope so that the rifle is both level and then the scope is level. Oops. Alright, cooperate. Alright, so we know where he wants it set for his eye. Now we're just going to take it out. I'm keeping note in one spot where it sits. So once this comes out, you can get the rifle level. Jeez, it's not bad right there, Jeff. I compare between the rings and the rail. That is not bad. Wow, okay. Now we're just going to cinch it down. This way it doesn't move when we're making the adjustments. Perfect. So now you'll see how we've leveled the rifle as best we can. I'm putting the scope back where Jeff wants it. Then I'm going to take this little bubble level that I have and put it on the top scope cap. And get that pretty close to level. I'm going to take that ring back, put it in place. I always try to keep the same gap on the one side as the other, just so it looks neat and tidy. Oh, I know what I forgot. You guys aren't reminding me. Just a tiny drop. Not even sure this is really necessary. I've just gotten in the habit of putting this tiny little bit of thread locker. I don't know, it just gives me a little bit of additional confidence that if I've left a rifle for a long time, it's not going to move or anything with a little bump. Literally, it's just a little dab. Okay. So I'll just get that started. I learned a little trick some time ago that makes this a lot quicker. I get just 2 of these screws started, get the scope level, and then worry about all the rest of them. A little too tight. We'll be able to move the scope just a tad. And then it's perfectly level there. Now, as this tightens down, you're going to chase that bubble just a tiny bit. So you want to just go really slow at these first two. I can see the bubble moving back and forth as I give these two just a tiny little cinch. Jeff, I'm going to have you confirm that. Jeff, just confirm that that's nice and level. I've tightened those two down. I can do the rest of the screws now.
Yes.
So I'll get the rest of them started. As I said, that trick I learned recently was the fact that once I got two of those screws started, I can now put the others in pretty quickly.
Right.
So these are just starting to touch. I'm not even cinching it down. It's just holding it in place. I want to confirm that that bubble's not moving around and it stays level. I know a lot of guys are going to have different ways to do this. This is just the way that works for me. And it's pretty quick. And this is somewhat unusual. We have one additional screw. They gave us 9 instead of 8. I'm fairly certain I have all of them in here. Okay, so now we're gonna, now that this is just mocked up and it's in there but not tightened down, we're going to actually tighten these side screws that hold the bottom rail to the rings. I'm just giving them a little cinch. And you don't have to go crazy, guys, just, you know, hand tight. And now we are going to slowly tighten down sort of using an X pattern, tightening as we go one side, the other side. That way it gets snug evenly. You'll see I'm just switching around, going, I don't know, maybe 1/10 of a turn on these as they get tight. Just nice and even. You'll see that towards the end you can't even turn them, maybe 1/20 of a turn or something. That's nice and snug. You can see I'm not wrenching down on it, guys. I'm just using my fingers to cinch it down so it's nice and snug. Now we're getting really nice and snug. There it is, guys. Jeff's rifle with a 2-7 by 32 Bausch Lomb.
Alrighty. Well, that was... Well, that's great. Nice new brush gun. Can't wait to get to the field with it. this coming November during rifle season here in eastern Ontario. Very nice indeed.
I think that's a nice size scope for lever action. Not really a fan of the big objectives on these rifles, but I think this looks great. In fact, if Jeff hadn't bought this scope when I found it, I was going to buy it.
Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Till next time, I'm Jay.
I am Jeffrey.